Sometimes you never know exactly how everything is going to work. And as Charlie said, you didn't notice the rimon that came off as I tried to get the Torah out of the ark. Or maybe you did. And I say that for a very specific reason. In a few minutes when we call the first Aliyah, I do want to acknowledge the Block family. But I also want to acknowledge, as I take that Torah out of the ark, that it's not insignificant, even though here we are in this different setting for our days of awe, for our high holy days. That is our ark. This is our Torah. That is our silver. The reason we are able to be here with these objects is because of Ruach and Koach, of spirit and strength. When Temple Beth Shalom was founded in 1979, we did not have a home. We were welcomed at St. Helens, at Community Church, and one of our members had skill and chutzpah. Jack Schickler had incredible chutzpah, and he made this beautiful ark that is very portable. It rests in our temple office so that we've had it and we've held on to it. And some of you have always asked, Rabbi, why do you keep track of all of that stuff? Especially those of you who have seen the chaos of my office. You always wonder why I hold on to things. Because you never know when you're going to need a portable ark. I'll use that as a proof text for a long, long time. But Jack made this beautiful cabinet. He actually made the Ner Tamid, which is made out of recycled car and other cast-off metal parts that was stored in the attic above in the sanctuary. Some of you probably had no idea that the sanctuary building has an attic space where we kept all kinds of incredible stuff. And so here we are with our ark, with our Ner Tamid, able to come to this space to make it our home for these days. And as I'm trying to take the ark, we haven't had that many opportunities to use it. When we've used it, I'm taking the Torah out, and I again hope you did notice the silver. Because that silver which was donated as part of this ark, that shine caught your eye because loving members of our congregation, the Cataracts that were part of the founding of our congregation, they polished the silver. They said, can we do something to help? They polished the silver, they picked it up, they made sure we had it today so we can be here in all our splendor. And then I stand here at this table, this beautiful table, which I assure you really don't want to see what's under the tablecloths. But this is a replica, a portable replica of our Torah table at Beth Shalom. The same height, the same dimensions, because of members of our congregation working on one project and helping with another. Steve Berlin said, can I help? And made sure we had a Torah top to this table. And then our shamans made sure it fit and was secure. That's why we're here, because everybody stepped forward, everybody took a thread and wove it together to be able to be here to share these words of Torah. And here we are for the binding of Isaac for the Akedah. And as we are reading this story, it's such a familiar story because God is testing Abraham, saying, go take your son, your only son, the one that you love, and sacrifice him on a mountain that I show you. And it's so easy to see that because that instruction, that test, that challenge is horrific on so many levels. Take your kid and sacrifice him, kill him there to say you love God? It's easy to read that story and hear about how Isaac says, Dad, what are we doing? And Abe says, don't worry about it. And then he builds an altar and ties up his son, and he's got the knife, and he's ready to do it. But I share with you a scene, and it's from an animated movie, but if you've really watched any of the Pixar animated movies, you realize they're not just kids' stories. It's an incredible story called Wall-E. It's about a little robot that goes off in crazy adventures. But there's a whole nother message that is there. The story of Wall-E is that humanity has cluttered the earth so much that humanity couldn't survive on Earth. And so humanity went off on arcs, on spaceships out in outer space and left the robots to clean up the mess. And one of the robots finds a plant and gets shipped back to the planet with the spaceships with the humans to tell them it's time to come back. Meanwhile, in the intervening years, humans have been there in space, and they have been, over time, they have given up doing all of the activities and stuff in the spaceships, and what they do is they find themselves in chairs with little screens in front of them. And they can push those buttons on the screens and food gets delivered to them. And they can sit on their screens and they can watch any show that they want, any video that they want. They all just sit in their lounge chairs and the world appears before them on their little screen. When we first saw WALL-E, I don't think I realized how quickly it would happen to us. Right, River? That we just sit with our little screens and we watch whatever we want, wherever we want, and know it's not just our 12-year-olds. It's so easy to get locked in those screens, and that's what happens in that movie, WALL-E. And there's one point where there's a good chase scene, at least one, because every good movie needs a good chase scene. And WALL-E and his girlfriend, robot Eva, it's a Pixar movie, go all around the ship. And at one point, two of the people, a man and a woman, are in their lounge chairs, sitting by the pool, having no idea that there's a pool, because what are they doing? Locked into their chairs, their way of looking in the world. And WALL-E comes flying through, and the security androids come flying through and knock the two out of their chairs. And for the first time in their lives, because they've been sitting in these chairs all of their lives, they look up and they see each other. And they're like, wait a second, there are other people here? And they smile with the sweetest of smiles at each other. And then they turn their heads slightly and they say, and we have a pool? They're so locked into their little screens that they didn't even realize there was a swimming pool for them to enjoy. And so I challenge you, as we live in this world where it's really easy not just to get locked into our little screens, but easy to get locked into our own perspectives, our own little paths, our own routines of this is how we live our life and how we move through the world, how we look at that world. I ask you on this morning of Rosh Hashanah, on this first day, to really listen. Because there is an act where there is an external calling out, multiple acts, where something outside of the person in our story calls out to get attention. There's an act of asking questions, what's going on? Is this really where we want to be? There's an act of pulling someone's attention away and up and away from the task that they're set on doing, from the path that they're locked on. This is our Akedah, the binding of Isaac. This is the story of this first day to get us ready to enter this new world, this new day, this new year with sweetness and with blessing, with incredible perspective. And so we prepared for our reading of Torah. So we prepare, and I am not sure what page the translation is in your Machzor, but the translation is in your Machzor. Stephen, Linda, I'm calling you up in just a minute. Poor Stephen and Linda, they came up because I said Linda. It's on 240. But I do have in front of me the scroll that was donated by Arthur and Marion Block. And you have to realize that part of the reason we are here is Arthur and Marion and their children and their grandchildren. Arthur and Marion just had that way of saying, let's do this. And they built that temple building, and they built this Jewish community, and they quite literally brought Torah into our midst. They were so central they were the first Jews in this area. I know we have some of the second and third Jews to this area that are here. They were the first Jews here, and they brought this community together in so many ways. And so on the first day of the year, it is our tradition to honor Arthur and Marion, to appreciate the efforts of their children and grandchildren that help us continue even to this day to be able to gather to offer Torah here in this